The sun was low in the alien sky, casting a deep orange light over the junkyard. Metal scraps, broken ship parts, and empty fuel tanks lay scattered across the dusty ground. Jack, a human engineer, moved slowly between the piles, wearing a dirty, brown jacket and a pair of cracked goggles. He worked alone on this planet far from Earth. The place had been forgotten by most. No laws, no friends, no help. But Jack didn't mind. He liked machines more than people. Machines didn't lie. Machines didn't betray. As he lifted a rusted panel from an old shuttle wing, he heard a soft sound like a weak growl or maybe a cry. Jack froze. He listened again. There it was. A faint whimper, like something was in pain. He turned toward the noise and moved carefully, stepping over twisted cables and old tools. Behind a collapsed hoverbike hidden in a shadow, he saw her. At first, he thought it was a wounded alien dog, but as he stepped closer, he saw the creature was something else. She had silver-gray fur, long limbs, sharp claws, and glowing violet eyes. Her face was like a mix of wolf and woman. Blood stained her side and her breathing was slow and shaky. Jack's first instinct was to back away. He had heard stories of alien hybrids, strong, fast, dangerous. Some said they could tear through armor with bare claws, but this one, she didn't move. She was clearly hurt. Her body trembled. Jack took a deep breath and stepped forward. "It's okay," he said softly. "I won't hurt you." The alien opened her eyes fully and looked at him. She didn't growl. She didn't attack. Instead, she lowered her head as if giving up. Jack slowly placed his tools down. He took off his jacket and, with careful hands, wrapped it around her bleeding side. "I don't know who you are or what you are," he said, "but I won't leave you here to die." He lifted her gently. She was heavier than she looked, but Jack managed to carry her to his small workshop at the edge of the junkyard. It was a metal shack, filled with old computers, spare parts, and a half-working generator. He laid her on a padded table and cleaned the wound. She stayed still, only letting out small growls when he touched the deeper cuts. He used a healing spray and wrapped her side in soft cloth. When he finished, she looked at him again, her glowing eyes full of confusion. And something else. Trust. That night, Jack sat in his chair watching her sleep on the table. The moonlight outside turned her silver fur blue. He didn't know why he had helped her. Maybe because she looked so alone, just like him. The next morning she was still there, alive. Her eyes followed Jack's every move. He brought her water and soft food. She sniffed it first, then slowly began to eat. Jack smiled. "You're not so scary after all," he said. "Maybe I should give you a name." She tilted her head. "How about Luna?" "Yeah, Luna. Suits you." Luna blinked once, then lowered her head. She didn't reject the name. Days passed. Luna healed fast. She started walking around the workshop, her steps silent and graceful. She never spoke, but she listened. When Jack worked, she sat nearby. When he fixed a broken drone, she watched closely, her eyes studying every move. One night, Jack heard a sound outside. Raiders. He grabbed his old blaster and looked out the window. 3 armed figures were searching the junkyard, scanning with lights. "Damn," Jack whispered. "Scavenger scum." He turned to warn Luna, but she was already gone. Suddenly, outside, he heard screams. The raiders fired shots. Then silence. Moments later, Luna returned, her fur slightly bloody, her eyes glowing bright in the dark. She didn't say a word. She just sat beside Jack's door and stayed there like a guard. Jack stared at her, shocked. "You saved me." She didn't answer. She just looked at him, calm and still. Something strange was happening. Jack had lived alone for years. But now, he wasn't alone anymore. This alien, this strange furry creature, wasn't just a survivor. She was staying, and Jack didn't mind. The howl that froze the night, the sun had set and the junkyard was dark again. The only light came from the blinking wires and a single flickering bulb outside Jack's workshop. Wind howled softly through the metal scraps, making everything feel colder than usual. Jack sat at his workbench trying to fix a broken drone, but his mind was distracted. Luna wasn't in the workshop tonight. She had gone out after sunset without a sound. He hadn't seen her since. "Where did she go?" he muttered, glancing at the door for the 10th time. Just then he heard it. A deep, echoing howl cut through the silence. It wasn't like any animal cry Jack had ever heard before. It was powerful, full of sadness and rage. The sound made his hands shake. Jack rushed outside. Far off in the junkyard, he saw flashes of red light, blaster fire. He grabbed his tool bag and blaster and ran toward the sound. When he reached the broken cargo tower near the edge of the yard, he froze. 5 raiders were lying on the ground, not moving. Their weapons were scattered. Blaster marks burned the ground, but none of the wounds on the bodies were from guns. They were slashed, torn, shredded. And in the middle of the scene stood Luna, chest rising and falling, claws bloody, fur glowing under the moon. She turned her head slowly and looked at Jack. Her eyes, they were glowing brighter than before. Not violet, but golden now. Jack stepped closer, heart racing. "Luna, what did you do?" She didn't speak. She just walked toward him, limping slightly, then stopped in front of him and let out a soft whimper. Her golden eyes dimmed again. She looked tired, broken, but still alert. She sat at his feet like a silent guardian. Jack knelt down. "I don't know what you're running from," he said softly. "But I can see now. You're not just a survivor." She looked up at him. Then, slowly, she pressed her forehead against his chest. Something passed between them. Jack couldn't explain it, a strange warmth, a calm pulse in his chest. For a moment, it felt like they shared the same heartbeat. That night, back at the workshop, Luna didn't lie on the table like before. She sat beside Jack's bed and didn't sleep. Every sound outside made her ears twitch. Jack tried to sleep, but he kept remembering the look in her eyes, and that golden glow. What was she? The next morning, something even stranger happened. Jack opened the door to his workshop, and there, at the edge of the scrapyard, were 3 more creatures. They looked like Luna, fur-covered, half human, half canine, but they were smaller, thinner, and had red markings on their bodies. They were standing in silence, watching the workshop. Luna stood beside Jack and growled low. "Friends of yours?" Jack asked. Luna didn't growl louder, but she stepped in front of Jack protectively. Her body tensed. The strange creatures began to growl back. Jack couldn't understand their language, but the message was clear. They had come for her, and she didn't want to go. Suddenly, one of the creatures barked a command. The others moved closer. Jack raised his blaster. "Stay back!" The creatures stopped, snarling. Luna looked at Jack, then at them. Her eyes glowed again, half golden, half violet. She opened her mouth, and for the first time she spoke through a low, broken voice. "Mine." Jack blinked in shock. Did you just talk?" Luna turned her head, her breath shaking. Then she growled one word at the others. "Leave." The creatures hesitated. Then one by one they backed away and vanished into the metal maze. Jack stood frozen. Luna turned around and pressed her head against his chest again. This time Jack didn't ask questions. He just whispered, "You're safe here." But deep in his heart, Jack knew something strange was happening. He wasn't just helping an alien creature. He was part of something bigger, something wild, something coming. Alien hunters and old secrets. The sky turned a strange greenish hue the next morning. A cold wind swept across the junkyard. Jack woke up early, but Luna was already outside, staring at the sky with ears alert. Her body was tense, like she could smell something coming. Jack rubbed his eyes. "What is it now?" Luna didn't answer. But then, a deep rumble echoed above them. Jack looked up. A large black ship slowly descended through the clouds. It was not like any transport he'd seen before. The design was sharp, silent, and deadly, coated in black metal that shimmered like oil. The symbol on the ship's side made Jack's stomach drop. It was the mark of the Drexari Hunter's elite alien trackers, known across many systems for one thing: capturing rare, valuable, or escaped alien creatures. Jack's heart pounded. He looked at Luna. She wasn't just tense now. She was afraid. The ship landed on a hill beyond the junkyard. A squad of tall Drexari stepped out, each wearing bone-white armor and carrying plasma spears. One of them pulled out a small tracking device. The screen beeped. "They're tracking her," Jack whispered. "They know she's here." Jack ran back into the workshop and grabbed a broken signal scrambler he had been working on for weeks. It wasn't ready, but he had no choice. He activated it and hoped the device would confuse the Drexari's sensors. Outside, Luna growled low and stood in front of the workshop, but Jack pulled her inside. "You can't fight them alone," he said. "We hide, just for now." Luna hesitated, but obeyed. They crouched in a hidden tunnel beneath the workshop, once used to store fuel. Jack could hear the heavy footsteps above them. The Drexari were scanning everything. Then something strange happened. One of the hunters placed a round object on the ground. It projected a hologram in midair. The image was of a female Drexari official with green eyes and red tattoos across her face. Jack watched, stunned, as the hologram spoke. "To the one who has taken our breeding subject, we demand her return. The female is not yours. She belongs to our bloodline. Her cycle has begun. If she gives birth to hybrids, we will burn this planet to ashes." Luna's hands clenched into fists. She shook with rage. Jack noticed her eyes glowing again, but now with fire-like orange. He stared at her. "Luna, what are they talking about?" She didn't speak, but then she did something unexpected. She reached into her fur and pulled out a small round object, an old memory chip. She placed it in Jack's hand and nodded. Jack quickly plugged it into his scanner. A file opened on the screen. What he saw made his jaw drop. Dozens of files. Lab notes, scans, DNA sequences, photos. Luna wasn't just a random creature. She was created. A living experiment. A hybrid designed in a Drexari lab for cross-species reproduction. And the final note from the head scientist was clear. Subject 7A Luna has escaped. Her fertility cycle was triggered by human proximity. If conception is successful, we will retrieve both mother and offspring for further testing. Jack stepped back in horror. "They made you, and now they want your children." Luna looked away, ashamed. But Jack reached out and took her hand. "I don't care where you came from," he said firmly. "You're not their experiment. You're free. You stay with me, I'll protect you." Luna looked at him, eyes softening. But outside, the Drexari were getting closer. The scrambler began to spark. It was failing. Suddenly, Jack had an idea. He grabbed a half-working drone, fixed the memory chip into it, and programmed it to fly away in the opposite direction, broadcasting Luna's DNA signature. As the drone flew off, the Drexari picked up its signal. They turned and followed. It worked, but Jack knew it wouldn't last. "They'll be back," he said, "and next time, they won't stop." Luna stood silently beside him, then placed her hand over his heart. And for the first time, in a voice barely above a whisper, she said, "Then we prepare, Jack. For them, for us, for the puppies." The bond deepens. Jack didn't sleep that night. He kept replaying Luna's words in his head. For them, for us, for the puppies. The phrase echoed like thunder. Outside, the wind howled and the junkyard creaked, with ghostly sounds. But Luna stood at the door like a silent statue, guarding the only home she had. Inside, Jack was building. Using old ship parts, broken shielding panels, and damaged bots, he started turning the workshop into a fortress. Luna helped where she could, lifting heavy things, welding with her claws, and growling softly when his hands got too close to sparking wires. By morning, the place looked different, stronger. But something else had changed too. Luna was breathing harder, slower. Her body glowed faintly under her fur, and her belly had begun to swell. Not much, but enough for Jack to notice he didn't say anything. Not yet. Later that day, Jack climbed the tower of scrap to check the skies. No sign of the Drexari ship yet. When he came back down, he saw Luna. Inside, holding something in her hands. It was a small human plushie, a toy Jack didn't even remember owning. It had been sitting in a forgotten box in the corner. Luna was staring at it with quiet wonder. Jack slowly walked in. "You like that?" he asked, sitting nearby. Luna nodded once. Then she gently held the toy against her stomach and closed her eyes. Jack sat still. 1,000 thoughts raced through his mind. How did this happen? Was this real? What kind of future could exist for a human and an alien hybrid mother? With babies. Then Luna opened her eyes and looked at him. "Touch," she said softly. Jack blinked. "What?" "Touch," she repeated, and guided his hand to her belly. He hesitated, but then placed his palm gently over the warm fur. And then, he felt it. Movement, a soft kick, a tiny flutter like a spark of life saying hello. Jack's eyes widened. They're real." Luna smiled. Just a little. "I thought I was made to be alone," she whispered, broken English struggling through her throat. "But now, I feel full." Jack didn't know what to say. So he just left his hand there, heart pounding. That night Jack dreamed for the first time in months. He dreamed of a small house on a green planet, of laughter, of strange but beautiful children running with Luna, of peace. He woke up to a sound, not blasters, not wind music, a strange humming sound coming from the workshop speaker. It was Luna. She had found one of Jack's old recordings, a song from Earth, soft piano, gentle voices. She was listening with her eyes closed, one hand on her belly. Jack stood at the door, quietly watching her. It was in that moment, peaceful, strange, and beautiful, that he realized something important. He wasn't just protecting Luna anymore. He loved her, not in a way that made sense to others, not the way humans wrote stories about love, but in a raw, honest way. He loved the bond, the loyalty, the fire in her soul, the way she never left his side, the way she carried life inside her with no fear. She was no longer just an alien hybrid. She was his partner. And those puppies, they were his family now. Just then, a red light blinked on the scanner. Jack rushed over. It was a warning. The Drexari were back, stronger, closer, and they weren't coming alone this time. The shocking confession. Warning lights flashed across the scanner, screen like red lightning bolts. Jack stared at the numbers. 5 Drexari ships this time. Bigger, heavily armed. They weren't searching anymore. They were coming to take. Jack slammed his fist on the table. "They're not taking her. They're not touching our family." Luna stood silently in the corner staring at the scanner. She said nothing, but her claws extended slightly, her breath sharp and steady. Her instincts were kicking in. But there was something else in her eyes. Fear. Not fear for herself. Fear for what was coming. She walked up to Jack and placed her clawed hand over his. "Listen," she said. "Before they come, I must tell you something." Jack looked at her. "What is it?" Luna's body trembled slightly. Her golden eyes softened. "I lied." Jack's chest tightened. "About what?" "I was not supposed to bond with you," she said, voice low and broken. "You were meant to be a test. I was made to find out if humans could carry our line." Jack took a step back. "So, you came to me on purpose?" "No," Luna said quickly, grabbing his hand. "I ran. I was escaping the lab. I was wounded. I didn't plan to find you, but..." She looked away, ashamed. "My heat cycle began early. When you helped me, when you touched me." My body responded. "I didn't mean for it to happen, but I didn't stop it either. Jack's heartbeat thundered in his ears. So these puppies, they're part of a Drixari breeding plan? Luna shook her head. No. They're not theirs. They're mine. Ours. Jack stared at her. He wanted to speak, but no words came. Then Luna stepped forward, her voice trembling. I didn't expect you to care. I didn't expect you to protect me. I thought you would throw me away like the others did. But you didn't. You stayed. You listened. You touched me gently. She placed his hand on her belly again. They are not lab creations anymore. They are life. Real life. Jack felt the tiny movement again, a soft pulse beneath his fingers. You could have left, he said finally. You had chances, why didn't you? Luna smiled faintly. Because you treated me like I was more than a weapon. You called me by a name. You made me Luna. She looked down, then whispered, and because I love you, Jack. Those 4 words stopped time. Jack's breath caught in his throat. An alien hybrid, a creature made for war and reproduction, had just confessed something no machine could program. Real love. But there was no time for softness. The scanner beeped faster. The Drixari ships had entered the upper atmosphere. Jack grabbed Luna's hand. Then we fight. Together. Luna nodded, then reached behind her back and pulled out something Jack had never seen before, a glowing stone embedded in a wristband. What's that? He asked. She placed it in his palm. My birthstone, she said. It holds my mother's genetic code. If they capture me, they will take it. But if you wear it, you become my blood-bonded mate. The Drixari law says they cannot take a bonded mother without trial. It's the only law they still honor. Jack hesitated. Will it hurt? Luna smiled. Only a little. Jack slid the band onto his wrist. A sharp flash of heat burned through his arm. Symbols glowed on his skin. Ancient alien marks in golden fire. Luna placed her forehead against his, and in that moment, their minds connected. Just for a second. He saw her childhood in the lab, her lonely escape, her silent hope when he touched her the first time, and she saw his pain, his isolation, his quiet kindness. When the light faded, they were still holding hands. Now, Jack wasn't, just her shelter. He was her mate. Outside, engines roared overhead. The Drixari had landed. Jack loaded his blaster. Luna unsheathed her claws. Jack looked at her one last time before the battle began. Let's go protect our future. Enemies close. In the ground shook beneath their feet. Dust rose in clouds as the Drixari dropships touched down just beyond the junkyard walls. Jack and Luna stood side by side, their silhouettes sharp against the rising storm. Inside the workshop-turned fortress, Jack activated the defenses. Sparks flew as energy barriers lit up, forming a glowing dome over the entrance. Old cargo drones buzzed to life, each one strapped with sharp tools and sparks like angry bees. But they both knew this wasn't going to be enough. Luna's breath was short. Her body moved slower now. The pups inside her were getting closer to birth, and her strength was beginning to fade. I can still fight, she said, chest rising with effort. Jack didn't argue. He handed her a pulse grenade. Then let's give them a reason to regret coming here. Just outside the yard, 6 Drixari hunters moved like ghosts. Their armor bent light, and they carried antimatter spears, silent, deadly. But they weren't alone. This time they brought something worse. A reclaimer, a massive 4-legged mech with glowing red eyes and a mounted cannon capable of leveling buildings. It scanned the junkyard, then growled in a metallic voice. Target, breeding subject, 7A condition, pregnant, status, retrieve with care, eliminate male. Jack stood on the wall, gripping his blaster tightly. They always want to retrieve, he muttered. Never ask. Then he shouted, Hey, you want her? Come and try. The reclaimer's cannon turned toward him. Boom, the shot missed, barely. Scrap metal flew everywhere. Jack ducked and yelled, "Now!" Luna leapt from the shadows, landing on top of the nearest Drixari like a thunderbolt. Her claws tore through armor as she let out a primal snarl. Jack used the distraction to trigger the drone swarm. The sky above the yard buzzed as the drones zipped out, spraying sparks, firing welding lasers, and slicing at the invaders. It was chaos. Luna moved like a blur, fast, deadly, protective. But Jack could see it in her eyes. She was tiring. Then the reclaimer locked onto her. "Subject vulnerable. Prepare stasis beam." Jack screamed, "No!" and sprinted forward. The reclaimer's beam fired. Jack threw himself in front of Luna and the beam hit him instead. A loud hum filled the air as the stasis beam froze his body in place, mid-motion, mid-breath. His blaster fell from his hand. Luna screamed. It wasn't a sound of pain. It was something deeper, something ancient. A howl ripped through the air, louder than thunder, and her body pulsed with light, her fur glowing gold, orange, and red. Symbols appeared across her body, those same alien markings Jack now bore. The bond had awakened something buried inside her. The alpha flame. She surged with power, faster, stronger than ever before. Her eyes blazed like suns. With a single leap, she ripped through the reclaimer's shoulder. Sparks exploded. It tried to fire again, but Luna was already behind it. She let out a roar, then drove both claws into its power core. Boom! The reclaimer exploded in a blast of fire and metal, sending debris across the yard. The Drixari froze in shock. Luna walked through the smoke, breathing hard, belly heaving. Her fur was burned, but her eyes were fierce. One Drixari dropped his weapon and backed away. "She has bonded," he whispered to the others. "She carries an alpha litter." The others hesitated. "We leave. This is beyond our control now." And, just like that, they vanished into the shadows, melting away into the trees and cliffs. Silence returned. Jack fell to the ground, released from the stasis. His body trembled, but he was alive. Luna knelt beside him, panting hard. "You okay?" he asked. She didn't answer at first. Then she whispered, "They're coming." Jack blinked. "What?" "The pups. Now." A new kind of family. The junkyard was quiet again, but not peaceful. Smoke still rose from the wreckage of the reclaimer. Sparks popped from shattered drone pieces. The glowing shield flickered one last time, then shut down for good. And in the middle of it all, Luna collapsed to her knees. Jack caught her just in time. Her body was hot to the touch. Her claws were trembling. Her eyes had lost their glow. She was barely holding on. "The babies," she whispered. "They're coming now." Jack's heart stopped. "Here? Now?" Luna nodded once, weakly. "Help me. Please." Jack didn't hesitate. He lifted her in his arms and carried her into the half-destroyed workshop. Everything was damaged, but one table was still standing. He laid her down and grabbed clean cloths, water, and the last of the healing spray. "I've never done this before," he said, voice shaking. Luna grabbed his wrist. "You are not alone." Outside, clouds gathered. Rain began to fall softly, cooling the fire-scorched metal and washing away the dust and blood. Inside, time slowed. Luna screamed, not in pain, but in power. Her body glowed again, just faintly now. Jack stayed by her side, holding her hand, speaking gently. "You're doing great, just breathe." Luna growled through her teeth. "They're strong, like you." Then finally, a soft cry. The first pup. Jack's eyes filled with tears. He wrapped the tiny creature in cloth. It had soft fur like Luna, but a face more human. Eyes wide open, glowing faint blue. A second pup followed. Then a third. Each one different. Each, one breathing, alive. Luna smiled weakly. "You see them, Jack?" He nodded. "They're beautiful." She reached out and touched the first one's cheek. "They are hope, not weapon, Not experiment. Just life. Jack placed the pups next to her, and they curled into her fur, making tiny sounds. And then something happened that made Jack's heart freeze. A shadow appeared in the doorway. He stood, up quickly, ready to fight again, but stopped. It wasn't a Drixari, it was a woman. Tall, pale blue skin, robes of stars and gold. An alien elder. She stepped forward slowly, raising both hands. "I am not here to take," she said softly. "I am here to witness." Jack narrowed his eyes. Witness what? The birth of the first bonded litter. A future the galaxy didn't think possible. You two have done what our kind feared. Jack didn't answer. He looked at Luna. The elder continued, "The Drixari will not return. You are now protected by something far greater." Jack asked, "By who?" The elder smiled. "By legend. Your story has already spread. Across the stars, they now whisper of the human who touched the beast and made her a queen." She stepped back into the rain and disappeared. Jack closed the door slowly, then sat beside Luna and the pups, holding them all close. Days passed. Rain turned to sunshine. The junkyard bloomed again, flowers growing through metal cracks. Jack repaired the home with help from Luna. The pups grew fast. One howled like Luna. Another liked machines like Jack. The smallest had both of their eyes. One golden, one blue. They weren't monsters. They weren't experiments. They were family. And every night as the stars blinked overhead, Luna would rest beside Jack, place her head on his chest, and whisper the words that had started it all. "You should prepare, human. We're having puppies, but now, they already had them and the galaxy would never be the same."